Okay, this is part 2 of Ventures 3, chapter unit 8, and it is page 97. So let's go over the vocabulary in section 3. Number 1, background. Background. So what is the background? My house is the background for my lesson right now. That's one meaning of background. Also, background has to do with your employment history. So what is it that you have done in your life prior to that? Where have you worked? Where did you go to school? Were you born? Things like that. The next one, degree. So when you graduate from college, hopefully whether it's a 2-year college, which is usually a community college, is usually a 2-year college, or a 4-year college. So when you go to a 2-year college, you're going to get an associate's degree, and when you go to a 4-year college, you get just a degree. So that is proof that you have attended, that you did well in your classes, and that you graduated. The next one, employed. Employed. It means having to work. You do have work. Okay, the next one, gets along. I'm sure all of you get along very well with people, just knowing you from class. The next one, interview. So that's where someone wants to find out about who you are, what you can do, and what you're like. The next, personnel. Notice the spelling on this word. It's double N, personnel. So personnel are the people who work in human resources, or the people who work at a factory or a company or an organization, and those are the people who keep things going. That's the personnel. Next one, reliable. So what does reliable mean? Reliable means that you can be trusted. And how does that differ from responsible? So they are very similar, and they're usually spoken together. Responsible means that you have a responsibility to do something, and a responsibility is an obligation. You have promised that you are going to do something. You have committed that you're going to do something, and you actually do it. So when you finish doing it, you have shown someone that you are a responsible person. Reliable is a little tiny bit different. It has the same general concept of honesty and being able to do something, but it means that you're consistent, that you're not going to come to work one day and then take 3 days off because the office is depending upon you, or the place where you're working is going to depend upon you to do your job. So that means they're trusting that you are going to come to work every day. They're trusting you that you will be able to perform your job the way that you said you would be able to perform your job. Okay, so that's the vocabulary that we're going to be using in this section right here. What I'd like us to do is read, and would you please fill in the blanks as we go along? Everyone, Tony has been working as a teacher's assistant for about a year. He is also going to college part-time to get a degree in accounting. Right now, Tony is at a job. That's right, interview with Mr. Long, the personnel manager. Be careful, it's not personal. That's AL. This is personnel. Personal means it belongs to you or to someone else, but personnel means that you're dealing with people or persons, but it is the person who works at a particular organization or corporation. And it's spelled Personnel. Next, Mr. Long asks about Tony's background. Good. Tony says he is from Peru and has been living in the United States for 2 years. Next, Mr. Long asks about Tony's work experience, and Tony says that he is employed at a school. Finally, Mr. Long asks about Tony's personal strengths. Good. Tony says he is responsible and reliable, and he gets along with everybody. Mr. Long says he will contact Tony next week. Okay, so now I would like you to close your books or put them aside, and I would like you to listen to the CD because listening is a very important skill that I hope will improve as we go along. This is going to be track 16.
Page 97, exercise 3A.
Tony has been working as a teacher's assistant for about a year. He is also going to college part-time to get a degree in accounting. Right now, Tony is at a job interview with Mr. Leong, the personnel manager. Mr. Leong asks about Tony's background. Tony says he is from Peru and has been living in the United States for 2 years. Next, Mr. Leong asks about Tony's work experience. And Tony says that now he is employed at a school. Finally, Mr. Leong asks about Tony's personal strengths. Tony says he is responsible and reliable, and he gets along with everybody. Mr. Leong says he will contact Tony next week.
Okay, so I'm hoping that after we went over the vocabulary, you wrote in the words that you understood and everything that was being said at the time. One thing that I would like to do before we move on is to go over the vocabulary words here. Number 1, background. Next, degree. Next, employed. Next, gets along. Interview. Personnel. Reliable. Strengths. And as a matter of fact, let's read it over since you already have the vocabulary in there, and then we can read it more quickly. Everyone, Tony has been working as a teacher's assistant for about a year. He is also going to college part-time to get a degree in accounting. Right now, Tony is at a job interview with Mr. Long, the personnel manager. Mr. Long asks about Tony's background. Tony says he is from Peru and has been living in the United States for 2 years. Next, Mr. Long asks about Tony's work experience, and Tony says that he is employed at a school. Finally, Mr. Long asks about Tony's personal strengths. Tony says he is responsible and reliable, and he gets along with everybody. Mr. Long says he will contact Tony next week. So I want you to take a moment to think about whether you think Tony is a good candidate for this job. And I want you to give me 3 reasons why you think that. What would be one reason why you might want to hire him? He is going to school. So he is a student, so you know that he's interested in learning and that he's a capable person. Number 2, what's another reason? Good. I think we're both on the same page. He has a part-time teaching job. So you know he's not lazy. You know he's ambitious. You know that he's willing to work and to work hard. And yes, um, well, he says, and he seems like the kind of person who he is reliable and responsible. If he came to the interview on time, he probably that would reinforce the fact that he is a reliable and a responsible kind of person. Okay, now let's turn the page. This is a very tricky and kind of difficult verb tense, to figure out when to use. I keep misplacing my pen. So the present tense is something you do every day. Right? That's easy. Every day. It's over. I cooked. The past tense. The future. I will cook tomorrow. Happening now. Present progressive. Happening now. Ing the helper. So if it's not any of these, it's going to be the perfect. And the perfect has the words have, and has to show what it is that you mean when you say that. So it's going to be, I have been cooking for 2 years. It's an action that happened in the past continual. It didn't just, I cooked yesterday. You did it and it's over. The perfect is in the past, but it was a continual action, and it still continues up until the present time. It continues up until now. So if you would please take your books, the student book, and open to page 98. Let's read what they have to say and how they present it. Grammar focus. Questions and statements with for and since. Little peach part. Use the present perfect continuous to talk about actions that started in the past, continue to now, and will probably continue in the future. The question. Actually, I like reading the statement first. Let's go down here to the statement area. It says, I've been waiting for a long time. Subject I. Verb wait. How are we going to use that verb? I have been waiting for a long time. It's in the past, it was continuous, and it continues up until right now when you said that. I've been waiting for a long time. The next one, Lida has been waiting since 2 o'clock. So here they're introducing connectors, little prepositions that are going to connect that idea to the entire sentence. Again, Lydia has been waiting since 2 o'clock. The action started in the past, it happened in the past, and it was continuous, and it's happening right up until the present. So that's when you're going to be using the present perfect continuous. Have been, and the verb has ing. What is it? I have been cooking for 2 years. What's the subject? I. What's the action? Cooking. What is it that you want to tell us? You want to tell us that this has happened in the past, it was continuous in the past, and it's still happening right up until now. So you're going to use have been and ing. What is it? I have been cooking for 2 years. It's not the present, it's not the past, because the simple past means it happened in the past, but it was over in a second or in a minute or quickly. Future hasn't happened yet. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we want to say. I am cooking. You're doing it now. Yes, you are doing it now, but you want to tell us that it was happening for a long time in the past. And the way to tell somebody that is to use have, been, and ing. Okay, let's read the next sentence. We've been waiting all morning. What is it? We've been waiting all morning. Happened in the past. They were doing it continuously, and it is happening right up until now when they say this statement. We've been waiting all morning. Okay, good. So we're going to continue practicing this in the next segment. But now I would like you to read the little blue box before we leave. Everyone, useful language. Use since with specific times. Since 2011. Use for with periods of time. For 2 months. Okay, that's it for now. See you next time.